So the Gaboogie Moderator Console is the place that I go to manage my call while it's in progress. And it allows me to do a bunch of things, everything from see who's online, see who hasn't joined the call yet, to enable recording, to adding additional participants on the fly to my call. So in this case, I've actually started my Gaboogie conference, and the first thing I see is my conference details, which shows me the name for the conference, shows me the assigned time, how much time is remaining, and down below here I can see the list of attendees on the call. So in this case I've got 4 attendees, and the green flag next to my name shows that I'm the moderator for this call. The little icon with the green plus sign to it shows that each of these people is online, and there's a bunch of options. So for example, I can mute individual lines simply by clicking the speaker icon next to that person's name, and you'll see the red cross through the speaker showing that person is muted. I can unmute that person. I can adjust the volume of individual lines, which is good if someone has a particularly noisy or quiet line. Just use the slider here to do that, like this. There's a play button next to each person's name, and clicking that play button will play back their recorded name to me as they recorded it. And I'm the only, as the moderator, I'll be the only person who hears that. Nobody else on the call will hear that recording. I can disconnect any of these participants at any time, and a really interesting feature is that if a user presses 9 on the phone's keypad, you'll see next to their name a hand raise icon displays, and in this case the Andrew Ross caller has pressed 9 on his phone. The hand raise icon is showing for me as the moderator. Clicking on this hand raise icon will create a private conversation just between me and that individual. So if I click on the hand raise icon like that, I now have a private conversation just between me and that individual, and that's useful if I have an issue I want to take offline with that particular caller and not share it with the rest of the participants, and also not have to take a separate phone call to do that. And to put both of us back into the conversation with the rest of the conference attendees, I simply click that icon again, and the hand raise disappears, and we're back in the call. The other options I have is if I scroll down the page, I have the invite attendees option, and the invite attendees option allows me to add additional participants to the call on the fly. And again, that's useful if I need to address an issue with somebody who wasn't originally intended to be on the call. I can just add them in right there and then without having to ping them by IM or send them an email or place a separate call to them. I can simply enter in their details either by dragging them into the call from the phone book or by entering their details in using fast add. So if I select one of the additional participants here, simply drag that contact into the call, and as soon as I do that, Gaboogie will call that person and attempt to bring them into the conference call. And again, I can also achieve the same thing by entering in fast add if the person I'm looking for isn't currently in my phone book. The other options within the moderator console, under the show settings menu, there are some advanced options. Probably the most important of which is the recording option, and you'll see that it says record to MP3. The default setting is off. I can simply select record to online archive, and as soon as I do that, Gaboogie will start recording the call, and it'll create an MP3 file that I can access once the call is completed. You'll see there's also a checkbox next to that whereby I can notify all participants of recording, and that's important for jurisdictions where there are legal requirements to notify people on the call that their call is being recorded. So you check that box, and everybody on the call will hear an audible beep telling them that the call is being recorded. These other options: operating mode allows me to switch between normal mode and lecture mode, and lecture mode simply mutes all lines except for mine and the moderator, and that's useful if I want to switch to presentation mode. And you can see I've selected lecture mode, and the lines of everybody on the call except for me have been muted. The end call option allows me to specify whether I want the call to continue even after the assigned time, which in this case is 60 minutes, or if I want to end the call automatically as soon as that 60 minutes is up. Moderator presence allows me to control the behavior of the call based on when the moderator joins the call and when the moderator leaves the call. So the normal default setting is that if I as the moderator drop the call before the conference is over, Gaboogie will automatically try and bring me back into the call by calling my numbers. But I can also change that to allow the call to continue without me, and I can also allow the call to begin before the moderator has joined. The default setting is for everybody on the call to hear hold music until the moderator has joined the call. The announcement option allows me to switch between announcing the arrival of a new user just to me, the moderator, or to every person on the call. So I simply switch between moderator only and all users to enable that option. And I can choose whether that announcement takes the form of a recorded name or a simple chime, or I can turn notification off altogether. Locking the conference, that option is for conferences where you've provided a toll-free dial-in number to allow people to join the call by dialing in, as opposed to having Gaboogie dial out to that user. And locking the conference prevents any additional participants from joining the call. And I can either allow my conference to continue to the scheduled time, or I can use the end call option to end the call immediately, or I can also remove additional participants from the call simply by clicking this button next to their name. So in this case, I'm just going to cancel out a couple of the participants. And as soon as I do that, that user will hear a message saying, "Thank you for using Gaboogie," and they'll be removed from the call. And again, that's useful if I have an issue I want to take offline with, or some agenda items that don't concern everybody who's on the call. And that's the basic functionality of the Gaboogie Moderator Console.